Alright, so in what is becoming a worrying trend, this video was prompted by a conversation on the way from the train station this morning. I'm joined by Martin Robinson and Wesley and Poole, who have differing opinions on game length and game value, and all sorts of exciting words like that.
Length is my favourite.
Yeah, this is obviously in relation to the Order 1886. The big story prior to that game's release was that you could complete it in around 5 hours. And Wes, where do you fall on that?
Well, I think it's important to say that the 5 hours thing was based on YouTube videos of a complete playthrough, and the person playing was not rushing through exactly, but wasn't playing it in the way that you would first time.
Okay,
so
sure.
Not exploring every nook and cranny, not looking for collectibles or whatever.
Okay.
It was a fast playthrough, 5.5 hours. So I would expect this game to take, on average, between 6 and 7 hours.
Yeah, we should probably ask Martin, who reviewed it
this
week.
I played this video game. It took 7 hours to play start to finish.
Okay.
But also,
let's go with 7.
Okay, that's good. As that is how long it takes.
I thoroughly detest the idea of bringing in length into discussion. I think it's so crass and pointless. I understand the idea of value, and that's a different thing altogether. But I find it ridiculous that someone would base something like you don't judge a book by how long it is. You don't go like, well, like I love like To the Lighthouse, something saying 192 pages or something.
But a book isn't 49 quid.
That's a fair point. As the value thing is completely different altogether. But I think that's a different argument. I don't think
is it that, but the two are
no. Because
like, how can you separate the two? The only reason
it's the quality of that time. It's not about any game can soak up 30-40 hours if necessary. Anything can waste your time. And it's not about the time. It's about how well that time is spent, and about giving you a good. Like I think the question should be, is it a good 7 hours? I don't think it's a great 7 hours it gives you at all.
Okay. Right. So I think that view was fine in 2008. Well done. I don't think games have moved on. Right. The way that video games in the sort of like 50 quid big budget console exclusive games, the things that you buy. You splash out for a console for now. I think gaming has moved on.
It totally
has. What you want out of a game has moved on. The Order is like it's archaic.
I totally agree with you. It is archaic, and that's one of the things about the Order. It is a very old-fashioned game. It feels like it started development in 2010. It feels even older than that, though. But so many times people complain about like, I don't want a multiplayer thing on. I don't want these things tagged on. There is something to be said for. I do quite enjoy well-crafted single-player only experiences which last for like 6-7 hours. Sometimes there's a place that like Uncharted and stuff like that.
But surely there's a cut-off point where what if it was 2 hours long? Would you be? Is that okay? If it's great and it's 50 quid. What is the hour where you go, actually, it's okay?
50 quid not. Again, the price is a different thing, though. I think that's a different... I do think there are different arguments to be had.
The average gamer out on the street, right?
Yeah, you've got to separate them, though, because 2 hour games are fucking wonderful. Like Journey, obviously, an hour game.
How much is that?
Again, it's different there. These are different arguments to be had, though. I don't think we should be talking... I think you need to separate those two things. The time a game takes...
I think the average person can't. I know we can in our ivory tower on our high horse, with all our money and
different monies. I don't think money should. If you're talking
Yeah.
about proper criticism of it, where a game works or not, it shouldn't be about money.
Now that's different. Now that I agree with you there. If it's a critical analysis of the Order, fine. A review, that is different. I think we can criticise Ready at Dawn for not making enough game.
Okay, just to start the conversation in a slightly different direction, why shouldn't reviews bring into account launch price? Like, why is that not something that people should be talking about in the review? Isn't that something that players want to know?
To know, yeah, of course, want to know. But I don't think that if that is excluded from a review, for example, I don't think that means they'll never find that out. Like, look at all of the noise about the Order this week.
Sure.
How could you avoid the discussion? It's not like the review is the only place on the planet to find information about the Order. So I don't think there's an obligation there to provide every single piece of detail and a piece of critical analysis.
Okay, Martin, so why is it important to you not to include that in your review?
Because value is based on context now, and different people have different ideas of what is good and what's not. Like, so I've got a video game I paid £400 for, and I could complete it in an hour if I was only good an arcade board, and I see that as good value.
Mate, I'm starting to realise
where this comes from.
Wow.
But yeah, but I do think the idea of £50 is something which is throwaway. But then again, you have to factor in the fact that you could trade it in the next day, which is what most people would do, and get 35, 40 quid back for it.
Or you could wait until it's cheaper.
And that's a problem with video
like
games. That's a problem with
out,
video game business model, which I think is a different one altogether as well. Because the fact is, and that's Sony's not going to benefit from it, because ultimately the order's going to cost you as much as a cinema ticket. I think it costs you 12 quid. If you buy it, play it, you'll complete it in 2 days, you'll take it back, you'll have basically lost 12 quid. That's a cinema ticket.
Falling back on the trading value to make a game like worthwhile is kind of weird, right? It's like saying, you know, we're ripping you off now, but you know, when you trade it in,
you can rip us back off.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of strange situation. This game comes out today.
Yeah.
And you got your money, and you're like, what game shall I get? I fancy a video game. Which game shall I get?
I can feel the Destiny comparison coming.
No, but not just Destiny, which, you know, has... People will argue, well, you know, people are playing the same content over and over again. Once you've finished the order, why would you play it again?
Sure.
There's absolutely no reason to, and it's one of those weird games. Most games make a token attempt to say you want to replay again.
Multiplayer or some kind of
branching storylines, or like upgradable weapons, or even just like try I've nearly platinumed it, and I haven't even I was not particularly good at it, and I just kind of just walked through it. And so there's no desire to, but I just wonder what Sony's getting out of it. Why because they're gonna get screwed over in the end.
What do you think the right kind of answer would have been? With what kind of launch price? Do you think they should have gone for a drastic undercut there from the get-go? Is that how you get the audience in the first place? Because this is, you know, hopefully they're thinking with the order this is going to be a franchise that lives on past the first game.
The idea is absolutely that they'll make another game, but
will it scare people off? Or?
Well, I hope not. Deep down, I agree with you in a weird way.
It's weird because
I want there to be this kind of game. I want this kind of game to exist. I've got nothing against story-driven single-player games if they're, you know, good enough and rewarding enough to justify the expense. £49, which is what the order is going for on Amazon, is a lot of money. You could say the video game pricing is too high generally, but this is what it is right now, and that's a lot of money, you know. I could get FIFA or whatever and play on the team
I remember paying like what must have been 50, 60 quid, or maybe a bit less actually, been 45, because that's how much PlayStation 1 games cost. The Ridge Racer 1, which came with one track, which you could race around backwards as well.
Did Ridge Racer 1 come with one track?
Yeah, just one track, yeah.
I am, again, starting to see
where all these problems come. They're very deep-rooted. I feel like the two of you are actually much closer than I realised.
No, we hate each other.
Argument.
It's nonsense.
But yeah,
I think, like, deep down, I want the order to be offer good value for money. I want it to.
I just
don't think it does.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that format either. Like that format can work. Single player games that you probably won't play again can be brilliant.
They do that, and the order's a weird one. I do think it's like the first Uncharted. It's a bit unsure of itself, and it's nowhere near as good as the first Uncharted. Yeah. But that was like, so I can't remember how long that was, but surely that was only 8-9 hours long to get to the...
Okay, but that is longer than the order.
Right? And it's also better by the sounds of it.
That is longer than the order. Like, if you're going through, your first playthrough is 7 hours. 7 hours, man. You know, like Rich Ledbetter from Digital Foundry did it in like 6.5. First playthrough.
Some people want that. Like, some people just want a game which is just going to keep them occupied over like 3 or 4 nights. And
3 or 4 nights?
If you do it 2 hours a night, like most normal people don't.
Okay. No, you're absolutely right. I can see that normal people might be time deprived. And actually, I've seen a lot on social media people going, you know, if it is 6 hours long, that's actually perfect.
I sometimes see that as a plus sometimes as well. Like, if you're actually a normal person who just plays games, who gets an hour every night or so, and you just play it over like a week or so, it's actually not that bad. But it's not a great 6-7 hours. Is the more pertinent thing.
If it had been a brilliant 7 hours, we might be saying it is worth the money.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
I'm sure if it is a Naughty Dog, if it is Uncharted 4 and Uncharted 4 had no multiplayer, people would wouldn't have any quibble with it at all.
The market is going to decide this. The order is going to live or die on how many people purchase it at certain price points.
I'm actually confident it will sell well.
It will sell on week 1.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how.
I think it will be traded in a lot.
Yeah. But the weird thing is, because it is a very unsatisfying story, and it's a story game, and that's a bit of a problem. and it's so unsatisfying because the fact that it sets up all these threads and answers absolutely none of them, and then you realise it's just you just played. Well, you paid £40 for, which basically is a teaser and a proof of concept for what might be an interesting game, an interesting series at some point, but it's not there yet.
The thing I've taken away from this video, though, the thing I'm quite impressed with, is that you've managed to defend something that you clearly aren't that in love with. You've defended the idea.
I don't. It's
You're
not
defending the order in principle.
Yeah,
right?
It's not the best game I've ever played, but I like mindless. Everyone likes mindless games sometimes. I like watching like C-tier action films every now and then. I like watching bad movies, like we all do. It's sometimes nice to switch off and not be bothered. Like it's mediocre. It doesn't do anything spectacularly well, but it looks really pretty, and sometimes that's enough.
And at least you'll know you'll finish it.
Exactly.
I mean,
you'll see the credits.
You know, I haven't finished Dragon Age yet.
I don't like that argument at all. No, we can't start another one on top of this. No.
People are going to quite like it, I think, because it's a very attractive game, and
at least the graphics are amazing, right?
Sometimes that's all people want.
Video games are rubbish. Well, thank you very much for listening to this debate, and let us know what you think in the comments. Whose side are you on? Are you with Wes, the man of the people, or
me and my ivory tower
with his £400 arcade machine? Okay.
It's basically a class issue. It connects it nicely back to the order.
Brilliant. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.